All right, well, welcome everyone. It's fantastic to be here again for what is now our fortnightly industry webinar. So every 2 weeks, we'll be broadcasting live at this time to introduce you to various key topics across the industry. And for now, we are looking today at the responses to an industry survey that we put out towards the end of last year, looking at digital video advertising. Various attitudes, insights, and also a few opinions to help the Video Council in particular look at what are the key topics in this area for 2021, which helps across all of our councils and all of our work to give it some definition and focus, but also particularly for this council in terms of what they want to be doing in the next, for the rest of 2021. The council's fairly busy currently looking to update a technical paper on CTV, which will be updated in the next few months. And then we will have an update to the 2018 Creativity in Video paper coming out before June. So there's a lot of work for them to do in the short term, but utilizing the findings of this survey helps us form and really focus on the key areas for the industry moving forwards. We'll be running a panel hosted by Jen Thomas towards the end of the session with a superstar representative group that we put together for you. So really looking forward to that. But before that, we have our head of research, Natalie Stanbury, who will run you through the key findings and insights from the report before we move into the panel itself. So please do feel free to contribute questions and any points in the Q&A tool you see there at the bottom. All the collateral in this video will be made available next week for all of you attending to access on our website. And good luck everyone with this webinar. I'll hand over to you, Nat, to take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, JJ. Hello to everyone and welcome. It's great to be presenting today the highlights of the attitudes to video advertising research. The full report will be available for you to download from the IAB website afterwards, so you can do that. Before we dive into the results today of the research, I'm going to start off with a little bit of scene setting for digital video. And it's a very exciting landscape for digital video, with audience consumption and advertising investment growing significantly over recent years. The data here from Nielsen Digital Ratings shows that there are 17 million Australians now streaming video from a desktop, smartphone or tablet device each month, and they spend over 42 hours a month streaming. We've also got 7.7 million Australians who are consuming free to view or advertising supported content on a connected TV. So increasing content creation, delivery and consumption channels and platforms are continuing to drive video viewing. Digital video advertising expenditure also continues to grow strongly each year. It's the fastest growing digital advertising segment now, and it attracts more than half of digital display advertising. Today, I'm showing you a sneak peek of the video data points from the latest IAB and PwC online advertising expenditure report for calendar year 2020, which is going to be released next week. The report will show that advertisers invested over $1.9 billion in digital video advertising expenditure in 2020, which represented a 17% growth year on year. There was a softer Q2 expenditure that impacted the results for 2020, but a very strong comeback in the last quarter of the calendar year, with digital video investment growing at a huge 41% in that last December quarter compared to the previous year. So look out for the results of that report on the IAB website next week. The Australian market has done a really great job of attracting a higher proportion of digital video advertising. than we can see in the UK market. The UK haven't released their calendar year results yet either, but just comparing the first half of 2020, you can see that the Australian market attracts a higher share of general display than in the UK, with 53% of general display dollars being video in Australia compared to 48% in the UK. With video streaming audiences surging during the COVID lockdown, video advertising expenditure continued to grow in Australia and in the UK throughout a period of downturn in overall ad spend. So to understand more about how agencies were using, planning and measuring and assessing these rapidly growing video investments, we undertook an industry survey. So late last year, the IAB, an independent agency Hoop Group, undertook for the first time a state of the nation type survey on the attitudes to digital video advertising. Today I'm going to be presenting the results from over 170 advertising decision makers within agencies who had previously bought or recommended digital video advertising or planned to. So the surveys gathered information on video advertising that appears on all connected devices and including all varieties of digital content and social platforms. The IAB in Europe conducted a very similar study last year, and there are some comparisons to their results throughout here and in the report. So let's dive into the results. As we've seen with the digital expenditure data, digital video advertising has been resilient throughout the COVID-19 period. And many advertisers who pulled back spend have returned strongly to spending by the end of 2020. 68% of agencies reported that their digital video advertising budgets are now back to normal or above pre-COVID expenditure levels. We also had 26% of advertisers reporting there that they actually increased their digital video budgets throughout last year. And this healthy growth is expected to continue for digital video advertising. 7 in 10 agency respondents reported that they expect their investment in digital video to increase during 2021. Also encouragingly, amongst the agencies who indicated that they were not yet back spending to pre-COVID levels, 71% of those intend to increase spend over 2021. So that's good news. So let's have a look at what's facilitating this growth. Understanding of digital video advertising is really high. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 was no understanding at all, and 10 is an absolute expert, agencies rating their understanding at 8.1. The advertisers that we surveyed had a slightly lower average score at 7 out of 10, and they told us that some areas that we could help them in their understanding were around understanding video consumers and their behaviour, along with ad effectiveness, techniques and case studies. So reach and targeting are driving the usage of digital video. The ability to reach audiences at scale was identified as the #1 reason why 59% of agencies continue to use or recommend digital video advertising. Digital video reach in its own right is now a greater driver of use than reach as an extension of TV campaigns. We're also seeing better targeting and personalisation there as a key driver for both advertisers and agencies. Agencies are seeing also the benefits in quality content environments and audience attention and engagement, whereas advertisers are seeing the benefits in brand building and measuring ROI. If we compare here to the European study, there were some similar drivers for digital video usage. UK respondents were similar to Australian respondents in highlighting reach as the key driver. However, gaining a competitive advantage was actually identified as a unique key driver for advertisers in Europe. Brand building also came up higher on the list for UK agencies than amongst the Australian agencies. So reflecting the growth in audiences, connected TV has also become a regular part of agencies' activities. So when agencies choose to buy digital video on specific screens, 8 in 10 said that connected TV is a significant or regular part of their activity. So what are we setting out to do with our digital video campaigns? Amongst agencies, impacting brand awareness and impacting brand perceptions are the predominant objectives for digital video campaigns. So we can see there 81% of agencies are using digital video for increasing brand awareness. That usage of digital video for increasing brand awareness is at similar levels to linear TV. But digital video is also expected to work harder across other lower funnel objectives. Due to the range of digital advertising types and formats available, video is often used for other campaign objectives, including things like increasing sales or conversions, as we're seeing there for nearly half of ad agencies. There is high satisfaction with digital video for branding. Amongst the 81% who were using digital video for branding, 94% of those reported being satisfied with their campaign results. We've been talking about the strength of digital video in delivering brand impact for some time. The IAB has reported strong evidence of digital video delivering brand impact cost efficiently in our digital brand effect report that we conducted with Kantar in 2019. And you can find that, that report also on the IAB website. Agencies are also responded with very high satisfaction across all of the other range of objectives that they're using for digital video. So for example, of the 41% of agencies who are using digital video to increase sales or conversions, 78% were happy with those results. So when it comes to assessing the effectiveness of digital video investments, brand lift is the most important measurement tool. The dominance of brand building as a key goal, we can see that a brand lift survey is the most important technique in the toolkit, in the measurement toolkit for agencies. There is also high importance placed on campaign delivery and reporting tools that provide data to agencies around their media planning success. Respondents were able to choose multiple techniques here, and we're not advocating the usage of just one measurement technique. Quite the opposite when we move into the post-cookie world. Advertisers and agencies are going to need to use a combination of these tools to get the full impact of their media across channels. So in prioritising the metrics used to assess campaign effectiveness, there is a misalignment between campaign objectives and the metrics most commonly used. So while we saw 81% of agencies use digital video for increasing brand awareness, we only have 38% using brand awareness lift metrics to evaluate campaign success, with a greater usage there on delivery metrics such as reach and frequency, completion rates, and CPM. While delivery metrics demonstrate an agency's media planning success, we would recommend that these metrics are used in combination with effectiveness metrics to make sure that we're showing the impact of the campaign once it reached the intended audience. It's important we understand the hierarchy of metrics that we're going to use that can demonstrate, the full picture of a campaign's contribution to attaining marketing objectives. Another key area for the industry to focus on to support continued growth of video advertising is in fit-for-purpose creative. Ad effectiveness research from Kantar has proven that optimal creative is when we customise that creative to the media and we integrate it well across media. So there is an opportunity here to improve effectiveness for those 37% who rarely or never develop digital video creative to the specific media environment. We've also got 45% there who never or rarely adjust their creative for target segments. So consensus from many of the leading advertising effectiveness research vendors is that creative is a key driver of campaign effectiveness. We've got some research here from Analytic Partners that says that 2/3 of the impact of a video impression is driven by the quality of the creative itself. So there's significant potential upside here for developing strong, impactful video creative that's adjusted for the media environment. When it comes to targeting creative, there are a diverse range of data signals being used. Most commonly, age and gender are being used, followed by location data. Some of these data signals could potentially rely on third-party cookies. So it's really important for agencies and advertisers to be aware of the data that they're using and consider this in their preparations for third-party cookie retirement. And certainly preparations for third-party cookie retirement are required. We have 37% of agencies reporting that they're not yet making preparations towards people-based marketing that will enable them to plan and activate and measure interactions across media into the future. There is, good news, lots of resources from the IAB that can assist here. Most recently, JJ's written a piece to help you get ready for marketing without third-party cookies. He's got a great summary of the approaches that are emerging, as well as a checklist of actions that marketers need to start to undertake now. We'll post JJ's link to JJ's article here for you to have a look at. Finally, we asked our respondents to identify their top 3 challenges for driving greater investment into digital video advertising into the future. Cross-screen media planning and campaign delivery reporting are key challenges. Solutions for cross-media measurement require industry collaboration. And we are seeing some exciting developments globally with the WFA's framework for cross-media measurement that's had great consultation with marketers. ISBA in the UK have commenced a project to put this framework into effect. And that project is starting with a blueprint for campaign reach and frequency across TV and digital display. But it does have the view to scale across content and context, other media, and also into other global markets. If you'd like to find out more about the WFA and the ISPAR project, the IAB have an interview on our website with the WFA project director at ISPAR, which is really interesting to understand what's going on. Also here we're seeing that measuring attribution is also listed as a key challenge. Some marketing effectiveness techniques currently in use won't be affected by third-party cookies. However, multi-touch attribution is one particular technique that is going to be impacted significantly. So while making these adjustments for third-party cookies disappearing, that is a challenge, but it also does give us the opportunity to rethink sustainable measurement into the future and make sure that we're putting consumer privacy at the heart of what we're doing. You can also find out more about how these changes impact all of the techniques in your measurement toolkit in the IAB's white paper on mapping the future of marketing measurement, also on the IAB website. So what do we do now? Continue to invest, which during somewhat challenging economic times can be easier said, but continued advertising investment during these times is proven to make a company and its brands stronger when we emerge in recovery. So there's lots of evidence and research that's showing that companies who can protect their marketing investments through these times do come out the other end in a better way than those who cut spend. Make sure we're balancing our brand and activation investment, continuing to invest in digital video for long-term success. It's a proven cost-effective brand builder, and we know that strong brands drive sales now and into the future. Design creative with context in mind, so making sure that we optimizing effectiveness by producing content that's best suited to the platform and to the consumer. And let's get prepared for the retirement of third-party cookies. So understand the impact that this is going to have on planning, activating and measuring activities across media, and start making some steps into the future. The IAB is always here to help keep you informed. We've got lots of resources on our website. The IAB Video Council have got some really exciting things planned this year. And I'm going to hand over now to Jen Thomas, who ably leads the IAB Video Council. And she's joined by some other amazing experts who are going to have a chat over the results and what they mean for them.
Thanks, Nat. I think there's some really interesting things for us to dive into a little bit deeper. So if I could grab Jodi, Fraser from Publicis, Nathan from Elastic, and James Young from Magnite to turn your cameras and your mics on. I think to kick off our conversation, it'd be really good to understand from each of you, I guess, if there is something in that report that you feel like is surprising or you feel like is something that you maybe, didn't know across video. It'd be really great to kick off with that. So Jodi, I might start with you.
Well, because I think so many of the respondents were media buyers, the results for me are pretty much what I hear on a day-to-day basis. I think that it's a really good view of what the people who are buying video think of what's going on in the market at the moment.
Yeah, cool. And what about you, James?
Yeah, I completely agree with Jodi's sentiment. It's a really interesting view, and there's nothing particularly sort of surprising in the results, but I think there was a couple of points around education that everyone in the market's sort of really confident with their education around digital video, which is surprising but also positive. But I think it would have been good to see that question extrapolated out against different types of digital video to really see if people's knowledge gaps apply to different areas of the digital video landscape.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll touch on that a bit later in regards to maybe a bit of a gap in education on cookies and what we can do next. So yeah, we'll touch on that. And what about you, Nath?
Oh, look, I was just surprised that there is a large number of agencies not doing fit for purpose. And luckily for us, we work with a lot of agencies that do and clients that do. I think everyone's excited about the possibilities that digital video can bring creatively, but also about the layers and options that it can provide brands to achieve their goals. I think that there's a massive opportunity for brands to reach their audiences if they are able to create that content that does fit the platform, the right audience, and also the context in which they're watching that video.
Yeah, I guess that sort of leads into my next question around, I feel like out of that survey, if you look at what digital videos measured against in regards to objectives, there's definitely a lot that's put in there. And I wonder how much we're putting a lot of pressure on the digital space to be able to achieve all of those objectives. Or, do you guys feel like that's what is the beauty of digital video, that you can do so many different things with it? Yeah, I guess Jodi, what do you think?
Look, I think that there's still, as much as us media buyers obviously think we're like a 9 out of 10 in terms of knowledge, I think there's still a bit of education that needs to happen around like what exactly we are using video for and what types of video. And I think that is something, I know the IAB has a lot of resources on that, but I also think that needs to come from publishers. I think that we end up putting a lot of different metrics against video because we still haven't quite figured out where it sits in the funnel and then what it aligns to. And then additionally, all the different types of video do sit in so many places. You are going to see a ton of metrics because each type of video is doing a different thing. So I think, again, sort of to echo James, I think after this research, there's probably the next level down in research that we can do to sort of break it down a little bit more in types of video and how we're using different types of video and what measurement goes along with that.
Yeah, so break it down even further into that area.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's the digital video environment. I mean, calling digital video one thing is a sort of slightly misleading because there's so many different iterations of digital video you can buy into, which can have different measurement capabilities. Connected television, for example, you can't get certain metrics, but is it necessary to have those metrics is another question. So it's definitely interesting to see that there's a broad mix of objectives, but environment plays a huge role in what those objectives are going to be in your video campaigns.
And what about you, Nath, in regards to, I guess, from a creative perspective, do you see a lot of your advertisers asking, do you get privy to what the objectives are, with working with agencies?
Yeah, look, we're privy to what the objectives are from an advertiser's point of view and what they are from a media agency's point of view as well. And I think overall, the excitement around digital video is that it works harder. It's better value for a brand. And if you're able to plan well at the beginning of that, there can be many objectives met for the client that aren't just selling a particular product or reinforcing their brand. There can be a whole flow-on effect that can last longer than the campaign that they've engaged you for.
Yeah. And I guess then flowing on from that, Nath, specifically, do you feel like you have, enough advertisers who do work to creating that fit for purpose, creative to the environment? Do you feel like there's enough education there on your side with chatting to people in regards to making sure that that creative is working across the different channels? Or do you see a lot of just blanket creative being used across different platforms?
Look, I think we see a mix of it, and you obviously have some marketers are more savvy about the technology than others. Some marketers are a little bit more traditional. So there may be advertisers that we encounter that do a traditional campaign, and that would be like a 30-second TVC and outdoor and things like that. But then we have a kind of a new wave of marketers coming through that are just trying to get the best value out of that campaign and are producing assets across multiple platforms and are very aware, working with media agencies, who those audiences are and how they can tap into them. So it's really interesting because they're aware that a 30-seconder can't be just repurposed to sit on, let's say, a Facebook or a TikTok. They're looking for other formats that are more effective and can be continually optimized so they can get a better result.
Do you see that, Jodi, or do you feel like it's different from your perspective, or?
Look, we're seeing a lot more of it, and it's definitely the recommendation. And I think we've talked about this a few times. It depends really where your creative's coming from. If you've got big multinational clients, a lot of the time you're just given creative from overseas and you don't really have those options. What is great is that those publishers like TikTok and Snapchat and Facebook will help you repurpose creative and make it something that will work. And even YouTube, they will give you advice on how to cut things down for a 6-second. And I think that's been really helpful for clients and agencies because it helps us as media buyers see how much more effective it is. And it's also a way for the clients to sort of get around those global restrictions.
Yeah, definitely.
So just to add to that, sorry, Jen, just to add to that as well, what we're finding is that we've got smaller clients that are able to play on the same field as those multinational companies. So they're finding that they're getting better value out of their campaigns, but also a higher quality that reaches a larger audience than they've ever had before. So where they may have considered TV in the past and thought it was too expensive, they really are looking at things like digital video in making an impact.
Yeah. And do you have, I mean, I know we spoke about throwing in an example of something you guys have done to, you know, be able to showcase, I guess, the most effective way of really repurposing that creative.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, I think the other thing, I'll jump and I'll show everyone some recent work that we've done, but I think the other thing that we should talk about is, you know, the word repurpose. I think that there's the mistake straight away. It's about creating individual creatives for each of those platforms or the way in which those audiences are going to use that content. So, like I'm telling people things they already know here, but you know, the way that someone watches content on Facebook, let's say, is going to be very different to someone that's watching that similar content via BVOD, and then different again, let's say on TikTok. But they can all be from the same campaign. It just needs to be considered from the very beginning on how they're going to work on those platforms and how to use best practice on each of those platforms.
And do you think, I guess, you know, and you know, Jodi, correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess some of the feedback on that can sometimes be around potentially being time poor to be able to, you know, be able to get all those different creative messages, potentially cost. There are some barriers that do come up against being able to do that. Do you?
There's a million barriers that can come up against it, but I do think Nathan's right, and I do think it's somewhere we're moving to. Like if you listen to my group CEO from Publicis, that's the vision for us, you know, as many personalized creators as you can, as many different messages for as many different platforms. If you listen to Sir Martin Sorrell and with S4, that's his vision. And I think that it is important, and there is a way for us to do that kind of work in a less expensive way now. But, you know, it will take a little while for those sort of bigger global clients to sort of get with the new vision. And I do think Nathan's right again, when you have smaller clients, I think it's much easier, and especially local clients working with local creatives, it's much easier to influence that and get those kind of messages turned around faster.
Yeah, it's true. And I do think, you know, even part of the survey was being able to showcase, you know, I know we always talk about case studies, but I think being able to showcase the effectiveness of running those different creatives and trying to really reiterate that as much as we possibly can will help us move along that a little bit faster. So yeah, it's a good point. Did you want to show your piece now, Nat?
Yes, so that sounds like a perfect segue into some recent work that we did for Kia. We're very excited to do this campaign for the local market for Sorrento. The campaign consisted of, and I might have to cheat here with a few notes, but it's 6 times 30 seconders. So that was for BVOD and YouTube socials and pre-rolls. We also cut those into 1x1s, but considering where they were going. So if they were muted, they had bigger graphics. We also had some 8 to 10 second spots that really highlighted one feature of the car. And then it was fairly much what we did is we went into Instagram stories, and that was more targeted around a calendar. So it was coming up to the long weekend, and we had an Instagram story that was about a great adventure in a Sorrento that we leaked out pictures throughout that time. So I'm just going to switch over to share my screen. This might get a bit clunky, guys. Sorry, just 2 seconds.
All right, I think it always is. We try to screen share anyway. It's not it's not you.
Right. It's always the video guy that gets the video wrong.
No pressure, but sound on.
Guys, here we go. Okay, so this is the 30 seconder. This was a suite of 6. They all played to different features of the car, but they played through it, like I said, throughout BVOD, socials, pre-rolls, and I'll just play this to you.
They say some things are better left unsaid. Well, not with Sorrento's driver talk in-car intercom. Now the driver can talk directly to the third row passengers. May no drive-through auto be mistaken again. Do you want fries with that? Yeah.
So the thing I should also let you know that these are in support of a brand ad that was done as well. So these are very much about being digital and online and being able to support that brand ad. So it's a little bit further down the funnel. Then we've got another format here, which is the 1-to-1, which is all driven by supers.
Yeah.
So what you'll notice about that, it isn't just a cut down, it is specific to that creative. It was designed to be thumb stopping, so it's got supers in case you've got your audio off on your device. This next one is all about exploiting the features of the platform or knowing what best practice is. So we've faked a Facebook frame here and we've broken the frame. And so that was a bit of fun because it's unexpected for for the user. And then here we've just got, because the story went on for so long, I've split it up into 3 bits here. But it's a whole narrative about the Sorrento on a long weekend and on an adventure. So not only were we showing features of the car, but we're suggesting places to go on a road trip. That was contextual because it was during the long weekend. And so hopefully it served as a bit of a utility piece as well. So that just demonstrates the amount of content that we're generating for a campaign, but also the consideration of each platform and the way that it'll be used and what messaging needs to be at every stage of that journey. It's not a 30-seconder cut down into multiple formats. It is specific content for each of those platforms.
It's really nice to see different creative being used for the environment. And, you know, we always talk about, is it about the creative not working, or is it about not being in the right environment? So I guess that will probably continue to be a discussion moving forward, but it's nice to see, you know, having different sets of creatives and just how well it can really work.
And that's working with the brand and the media agency to make sure that we are finding the right audiences on the right platform. We're not just generating that content for a particular platform and hoping for the best creatively. There is a lot of data and insights behind the generation of that creative as well. Yeah,
and I feel like that, you know, helps us lead into, you know, talking about data and the future of the cookie and the, you know, demise of the cookie. And I guess, you know, a bit of a surprise on our side was the large proportion of people who responded saying that they either haven't thought about it for now, you know, and will start doing something about it soon, or haven't thought about it at all for their campaigns. And I guess I wanted to get your views, probably more Jodi and James, in regards to, you know, do you feel like you agree with those statements? You know, Jodi, do you feel like from an agency you are thinking about it now, or is it something you're sort of not ready?
Look, I think we're ready, but I also think it depends on who was answering the survey, because you know, most agencies will wait for direction from either the group or leadership. So I think for like day-to-day media planners or digital planners, group business directors, it's probably not something they're thinking about that much, because it's really up to the group people or the leadership to decide what our strategy is going to be. I definitely think clients are thinking about it. I personally am pretty excited about it, because I think it's going to make us all have to, you know, think harder, do better things, and, you know, come up with some better measurement.
Yes, the measurement debate.
You know how it really grinds my gears.
James, what do you think? I mean, I guess from a Magnite point of view, do you guys feel like you're getting a lot of those questions? Do you feel like you guys have you know, you're ready to be able to help educate the market in that space, or?
Look, I mean, I would say this is probably going to be a huge focus for this year. Identity as a whole is going to be a really big topic for the industry to talk about. I mean, it's not surprising that people don't feel educated about it yet, because there's no real clear answers of the path forward yet. I mean, there's a lot of collaboration going across the industry to work out different solutions to continue identification of users in a post sort of cookie apocalypse. But I mean, expanding on that a little bit, it's not just third-party cookies as well. I mean, we're moving towards a sort of an internet that's anonymous by default, and that's leading to being that it's going to be control and consent by the end user. So getting a user to consent to tracking is no mean feat. It's no one really likes to be tracked across the internet specifically. So it's like sort of Jodi mentioned, is it got to work harder to get people to really want to be involved with the brand, and you know, to do that, we're going to have to see a shift towards convincing users to give over their data assets to allow for tracking and targeting, and that's based on a sort of a what's the word I'm looking for? A sort of a give and take between the environment that they're going to be in. So logging into an environment, the user needs to get something back for that. So if it's content, or if it's you know, interacting with friends or whatever else it is, there needs to be something that's going to push them along to say, yes, okay, I'll hand over my details about myself. So first party data will become incredibly important to continue to feed that ecosystem and allow people to be able to target effectively. And like I said at the top, there's no clear identity solution that's going to be the dominant one in market yet, but there's a whole host of solutions that are starting to come out of the woodwork on this one, and it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out through the next 12 months.
Yeah, I think we spoke about potentially doing something as a video council to try and streamline, all the different companies kind of coming together on one process to make it a little bit easier. I know everyone will obviously have different solutions, but just to try and help streamline that education for agencies. So that might be something we look into.
I mean, it's kind of needs to move away from being an ownership piece where, there's only one group that can truly own data assets or identity on a particular group, and becoming a sort of a shared community asset that people can feed into and adopt and use in that sort of control and consent environment. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. There's businesses who have that sort of mindset that they're going to sort of control and own it, and only be the ones who can be the arbiter of targeting. And there's others that are more of that open internet to allow for people to feed into an ecosystem that's going to work for everyone in a positive manner while still protecting the end user.
Yeah, definitely. I guess just conscious of time, one of the last things I wanted to ask you guys about is almost into 2021. I mean, we're already halfway through Feb, but do each of you have something that you feel like you're excited about for this year? Even doesn't have to be in regards to yourselves or your companies, but either from the consumer or the industry side. Is there anything that you feel like we should all be excited about for this year? James, I'll start with you.
Oh, me first. Okay. I mean, one of the big things for me is I think the growth in the digital video environments that is starting to emerge. So live sport becoming a really big consumption area in digital video, and it's just a new ecosystem to advertise in. It has a lot of benefits and a lot of interesting changes from what we're used to with video on demand and just other digital video environments that will continue to expand with like Optus Sport and KO and all these others that are picking up live sports environments. And then the Olympics this year with 7 is going to be really interesting to see how that monetizes in the digital video world. So I would say live sport is going to be huge this year in that it's sort of been building, and this year is really going to take off.
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting. We've been trying to watch some of the tennis at the moment, which has been, a great experience. So I'd be interested to see how consumption habits change as different platforms take on different sport, and what that means for advertisers and agencies sort of having to spread the love. What about you, Jodi?
I'm really excited about it's sort of about the growth in video, but I think what I saw last year was, despite the troubles, we had a lot of people trying different things and trying video out. We're really starting to see them come back with full force in January and February. It's been really interesting to see how people are using video differently and using more of it, and that's a direct sort of correlation to what the COVID period, where they kind of had less money, had to do things a little bit smarter. So I'm interested to see where advertisers go with it. I'm interested to see how agencies make the most of it, and how our suppliers are going to keep sort of making video more quality and give the advertisers, the consumers, a better experience.
Yeah, I think that's it'd be interesting to see whether the consumer experience grows and evolves along with the spend in video. To make
Fingers crossed. I mean, it has to, otherwise there won't be spend in video.
Oh, don't say that. What about you, Nate?
Oh, look, just from a creative perspective, it's more exciting than ever. I mean, we're making new formats, we're breaking new formats. There's so many different combinations and technologies out there where it makes a quality video more accessible to different clients. It gives us all different ways of collaborating as well. We're very big on collaboration, and I think that working together with agencies and brands is coming up with creatives that we've never seen before, because digital is fairly much only limited by the technology of the time, but it's constantly growing, and it's growing at a faster rate than broadcast ever did. And for us, that makes it exciting, because you're seeing different formats working together in new ways that haven't been seen before. And every time we try to predict that one format out there is going to take off, there's another one that springs up. And you know, as creators, we get really excited by that. So we just like the fact that you're able to produce stories and create really fun campaigns for clients in a whole range of different ways that we never even thought of before.
I do feel like it lends itself to the great 5G capabilities that will come out, and what that means, and you know what's next.
I think the conversation for us at least goes beyond quality. So everyone talks about better picture, better this, better that. For me, I think it's also the way that audiences can interact with that vision, and for brands, the possibility of being able to hopefully click through and buy things from video as well. I mean, there's all these different ways of weaving these new capabilities into new formats, and that's where the excitement is for us. Yeah,
awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you joining us today and providing some great insights off the back of the video survey that our lovely Tiff has already put up on the site. So you are welcome to have a look through the survey results, and if anyone wants a deeper dive, please reach out to us and we can go through it further. But thank you, Jodi, James and Nathan. I appreciate you guys jumping on and giving us your view.
No problem. Thank you.
Anytime.
Let me try and do this seamlessly. Hopefully you can see my, oh, brilliant. Oh, no, that'll do. I just wanted to share with everyone that we're continuing our fortnightly webinars. In 2 weeks, on the 4th of March, we will be doing a State of Investment and Agency Trends in 2021 webinar. The link is now posted in the Q&A, and please feel free to register for that. We will be running through the 2020 calendar year PwC revenue report, just some of the key highlights off that, and then speaking to about 4 or 5 of those key agency groups to be able to talk through, you know, what they're looking for in 2021 and what we can look forward to. So check it out. But thank you everyone for today. We appreciate you all being here and talking through with us. Have a nice afternoon.